Welcome to another episode of the Liberty Master Cast. I'm Captain Jack, along with Texas Joe, Pat Leo. Forgot everyone's names all of a sudden.
Pat former Leo.
Pat former Leo, and Ox. And today we will be talking about aquaponics. This is episode 38. Hey guys, what's going on?
Happy to be here.
Totally happy to be here. Is everybody still drinking the same thing?
I got a fresh cup of Viking's blood in my cool rocks glass with a 308 bullet going through the side.
Awesome. I've got the entire bottle of Viking's blood sitting in front of me, along with a bottle of Shiner Strawberry Blonde.
Nice. Yeah, sorry, I have my rocks glass filled with Viking's blood. I forgot to say the Viking's blood part.
I've moved on to water because I get to my store a couple hours before, well, several hours before the liquor store opens, and I leave after it closes, so I can't ever seem to get up there to get some alcohol. You guys suck.
All right, gentlemen, what are we talking about today?
You two are talking aquaponics. I'm going to ask questions like someone that doesn't know what that is, because I don't know much about what that is.
Roger that. Okay, so...
Question number one. What is aquaponics?
All right, so... aquaponics is... Hold on a second. Let me get the damn definition.
Aquaponics is basically creating a self-sustaining ecosystem using fish and the waste product from the fish through water that you filter through plant roots that are floating usually on top of the water, and then they filter out the water, filters back into the tank, and the fish get fresh water. Is that good enough for you, Joe?
I'm good with that that definition. So yeah, you have so there's three main things that you have. You have water, you have fish, and you have plants, right? You feed your fish, you cycle the water, the plants eat the waste, the fish waste that's in the water, and
Right.
the result of that is, your plants grow, really well.
Yeah. There's
now,
different systems. There's floating systems. There's what is it? Bell and curve systems.
there are several different types. Mine is just a straight up hobbyist setup.
Mhm.
I've got 330 gallon IBC totes.
Mhm.
I basically just cut the top off, flipped the top that I cut off over, and filled the top with pea gravel. I know that's not everybody's first choice. Everybody wants to use, whatever the, crushed granite or volcano rock or, what
Those
it's,
little
I use.
clay
I use
pellets.
Yeah, I can't think of what they're called.
I know I can't either. They're expensive though.
Yeah, they are. So for those of you that are on Discord right now, you can scroll up to the pictures that I posted. You can see that I've got 4 sitting there. I actually removed a section that, was just loose pieces sticking up. So I actually removed a section when I cut the top off, so it would sit stable on top. My 4 tanks that are in the first photo are cycling 250 gallons each tank. I have pumps that can do 260 gallons an hour, which they're way oversized.
Yeah.
But they don't run all the time. Further down to the end, I actually posted a picture of a couple of timers.
Mhm.
So I have 2 timers, and each timer runs 2 of my tanks. So I don't have my tank cycling 24/7.
That's good.
So it saves on, electricity costs and stuff like that. I have mine set to run 30 minutes every other hour.
Are you getting adequate filtration that way?
Well, I, my plants are doing well that are in the grow beds. I'm seeing a lot of growth. The water is turning green at a pretty rapid rate, but that's for two reasons. One, I'm not using an air stone or anything like that. Actually, it's for several reasons. I run an LED light at night, so it's getting UV exposure during the day. It's getting LED exposure at night, which is just helping that that bacteria grow. And then I'm not cycling constantly 24/7.
Right.
So my water does turn green. However, when you guys will see on the thread, there's a raised bed garden arrangement right after I posted my picture of my aquaponics.
Yes.
I will turn my pumps on and put 5-gallon buckets underneath the discharges, and I will capture several 5-gallon buckets, and I'll take them around my homestead and water all kinds of plants with that water. And as I take it out, I replace it with fresh water out of the well. So
Right.
I have a pH neutral water source coming out of my well, and I can actually take buckets out, and I can get that water a little more clear so I can see the fish, see what's going on and stuff like that. So I have two fish tanks that are stocked with just native bluegill and other little freshwater pond fish from my pond here on the property. I've got, and they're about the size of your palm, so I've probably got 20 to 30 fish, wild fish per tank. So they dirty up that water pretty good. But they do all right, and they're good with low oxygen atmospheres and stuff like that. My third tank, my beautiful wife came home the other day with, what was it, 10? Eight, about 4-inch, 5-inch long koi. So
Nice.
I've got all different kinds of koi in there. So they were gorgeous when they went in, but they're not used to people, so we haven't seen them in a few days. We also have the last tank is full of like really crazy colored goldfish. And then I've got in the last two tanks with the koi and the goldfish, placos or placotomus. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. So I have that. A little bit more about my setup. I'm actually running 3 timers. So I have a timer running 2 tanks. I have another timer running the 2 other tanks. And then at night, I have a timer that comes on. I bought a 32, 34, 36 foot LED strip. I can actually post a picture of that for you guys, what it looks like at night. But I have an LED strip that comes. Oh no, it's on there. Oh man, I like that Oscar Delta. I like that Dutch bucket setup. Anyway, so you guys can see at night in one of the last pictures that I posted, my LED strip comes on. And the primary reason for the LED strip is not so it looks cool. In springtime here in Texas, we get a lot of June bugs. So June bugs and other bugs get attracted to that light and fall in. So I don't have to feed my fish as much,
I was just about to ask what the light at night was for. That's very clever.
Yeah.
Very
So
clever.
it's actually drawing free food for the fish.
Yeah, I like that.
So that's my setup in a nutshell. And like I said, to keep my water kind of clear, I'll bucket out several buckets, a week and go and use in my raised bed gardens. I'll dump them on my raised beds, and it's kind of like a liquid fertilizer.
Yeah.
Kind of like GS Plant Food makes, like the fish and kelp and stuff like that.
It's doing the same thing it's doing the same thing for the plants in your ground that you're doing for the plants in the beds.
Correct. So, anyway, I'm real. The only thing I geek out about on my system is the control. Like I love the automation. I love the control. I didn't see ODK posted a. All right, Oscar Delta. I'm going to get to that in a second on cost and stuff like that. So anyway, back to what I was saying. The only thing I really geek out on is the control. Everybody likes to save money on electricity. Everybody likes things to work when they're not away. So I have several timers throughout the property. Pat will testify to this. Half the time that he spent here, I was sitting here at the kitchen table jacking around with a linear actuator and these, crazy little timers and stuff like that. So my chicken coop's automated. My watering system for our orchard, the watering system for the raised bed gardens, the pumps, the lights, all that stuff for the aquaponics systems. My wife just installed a huge flower bed in the front of the house, so its watering system is automated as well. So that's really the only thing I geek out on. I'm not super worried about how many fish per plant ratio and what's the best media to use in the grow beds. I use what works. I'm just kind of from the school of thought that make it easy,
Yeah.
because if you get super complicated with it, like it tends to like push you to the edge and stress you out. And this should be something you enjoy. If you don't enjoy it, you ain't got no business doing it.
Yeah. And if it doesn't work, then your plants are going to die and you just figure something else out. Like,
right.
It's not that big of a deal.
Before the plants turn brown and shrivel up in the aquaponics system, because like whatever you have isn't working for you, move them to a pot.
Yeah.
Plants grow just fine in dirt. So until you can figure out if you got the wrong pH, the wrong ammonia. Basically, guys, in a nutshell, if you don't have algae growing in that tank with those fish, nothing is going to grow off that water. It'll grow for a little bit, but there's no nutrients in the water.
Right.
So if you've got biological activity in the tank with the fish and algae starting to grow, then it's a safe environment for actual growing plants. And I'm sure there's some people that would crucify me at the stake for that, but
Well, as long as your ammonia levels don't get out of whack, then you really don't have that much to worry about.
right. So I'm going to go ahead and try and answer it. Okay, I guess let me ask this for people that are listening to us live on Discord. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and hit me up again. I'm at the bottom of the thread. I'm looking at the questions as they come in now. I'm going to go ahead and field Oscar Delta Kilo's question at this point. But if anybody has any questions that I haven't covered for stuff, I know it's been kind of a wham bam, like rush episode or whatever. Go ahead and shoot your questions again. I may have overlooked them, and we'll answer them as they come in. So Oscar Delta Kilo asks, what does a setup like yours cost? Initial cost, and also maintenance and electricity. The initial cost, and I've actually recycled these systems. My initial cost was $65 a piece for the IBC totes when I bought them. I have a 20-foot trailer, and I live down here, just north of Houston. So there's several depots that handle food products and stuff like that. So I'm about 65 a piece for the IBC totes.
It's not bad.
I clean them out. I think I bought the pumps were $18 at Harbor Freight. Pea gravel, it's like $6 a bag. That was the only real expense. I think we had almost 1,000 pounds of pea gravel, and I probably could have got it cheaper if I'd have bought it in bulk from like a landscaping company. But I just bought it bagged from Home Depot. I can find out what the average cost of that is. The fish in the first two tanks were free. The koi, I know we've got a little money in koi and placotomus and goldfish, but that's because we wanted them. I would have had absolutely no problem filling all 4 tanks with wild fish out of my pond, but I wanted the koi. one of the things that that was discussed at the spring event when I met Pat. One of Uncle Jack's friends was talking about how he raises koi, and his raising koi pays for him, pays for his hobbies, so that he's not coming out of pocket for hobbies. And that's a principle that Uncle Jack teaches.
Very nice.
Like, hobbies shouldn't cost you any money. Like, if it's a hobby that costs you money, like, that's it just, your hobby should pay for themselves. So that, and the fact that koi and goldfish are pretty and fun to look at and stuff like that, that's why we went into spending, what would you say, 100 to 200 on fish between the koi and the goldfish.
Koi and the algae eater, probably 200.
Yeah, so we have koi and the algae eaters or placos. We got about 200, and then it was just some extra change for the goldfish. So, but like I said, anywhere you guys, ponds, streams, lakes, catfish do really well in these systems. You need to get some kind of a food source that sinks, because catfish normally don't like to come up to the top. Perch, sunfish, brim, crappie, even minnows. You could go down to a bait shop and buy minnows, and they would produce that biological input that you're looking for. So all up in my 4 systems, with timers, the LED light, I would say I'm easily in under $1,000.
What kind of yield are you going to get from that?
Right now, because it's early spring and I actually took all of my tanks for over a year, I just got them set up. It took about a month. Took about a month to get them to where they are now. And like I said, I went heavy on my fish input to go ahead and get them biologically active and cycling,
Right.
and just, it was just like, okay, how can I make fish act like nitrous for a car?
Right.
So I just put a lot of fish in the first tank. They started banging, I took some out and moved in the second tank. I started seeing some biological activity, so, but yeah, I'm probably easily in under $1,000 for my 4. And like I said, that's 4 pumps, 2 timers, a third timer, an LED strip, fish, which fish can get expensive, but past that, the most expensive input was the 8 or 10 strawberry plants. My wife specifically wanted strawberry plants, so one full grow bed. I'm post you guys a picture real quick. Hold on a second. One full grow bed is nothing but strawberries. So
Nice. Very nice. Noel Overflow asked if the fish are edible. The koi and the goldfish and the little algae eater, they're all edible, but they're going to be kind of bony. The bluegill, those are definitely edible. Those are nice strawberries.
Yep. So, like I said, everything is relatively new in the first month, 2 months. I'd say probably like the first month and a half, and that's a typical yield about 5 strawberries a day to every 2 days.
That's not
But
bad. At all.
understand, I have, I think, 8 or 10 plants in the one, the first grow bed. It's solid. Hold on a second, see if I can get you guys another picture. Yeah, here we go.
So and Oscar Delta Kilo is asking, quantity of produce equal more than the cost of building and maintaining? Usually.
At this point, no. Later on, when things warm up, my herbs and stuff really start to get banging and producing. They things will improve. The thing I'm going for right now is, by this time next year, I will be able to sell at least some of my koi for in the $1,000+ range.
Right.
Damn.
So, it's long. If I look at it immediately now, Oscar Delta, no. I'm in. I guess what you would call a loss. I'm not even at a zero-sum gain. But that's for right now. I can tell you, if my family buys, say, a head of celery, we eat what we want off that head of celery. What we don't use off of that, off of what we take off, goes to chickens. The knuckle that's left at the end, that knuckle goes out into the grow beds, and it will regrow, a proper head of celery, or another. It'll reproduce celery from just that knuckle being stuck in that grow media.
Right.
The quality of the oregano and the basil, and I have, 4 or 5 different types of lettuce planted. And like I said earlier, at this point in the game, no, but that's because my tanks have been down for over a year. I'm only a month and a half into their cycle this year. But once they come on and they start banging, I'll be able to eat as much and use as much fresh herbs as my family wants or can possibly use, and then I'll be giving it away or selling it alongside my eggs to my egg clients.
Very nice.
As far as maintaining, unless my timers get wet or something catastrophic happens because of getting hit with a lawnmower or something like that, the cost of building and maintaining is only elbow grease to like I said, I pull water out, water my garden with it, as like liquid fertilizer, and then refill water. But I hope that's a sufficient answer for you, Oscar Delta. If not, I guess rephrase that and I'll try and answer it better.
Also, the quantity of produce, it depends on the yield, the amount of time it takes to grow. It depends on what you're growing. It depends on how much space it needs. So,
right.
all of those things factor into the equation when you're trying to figure out the quantity equaling or being greater than or less than the cost of building and maintaining.
Right. So one of the other questions that Oscar Kilo asked is, can you grow different plants in the same container? Yes, absolutely you can. You can mix your plants. Just be kind of conscious, and there is no lack of information about growing methods and what plants do well and stuff like that. Hit up Google. Somebody's done it. Or my favorite preferred method: throw a bunch of shit in the same bed. What grows, what doesn't.
Yep.
I'll have basil that's 2 feet tall, and grows faster than I can harvest it.
Wow.
And to the point where I literally give a couple ounces in a baggie away with, when I sell a couple dozen eggs.
Pat's suddenly very envious of your.
Now you're speaking my
basil.
language. I could sleep on a bed of basil. I love that stuff, man. Did I tell you guys this is the longest plant relationship I've ever had?
Yeah. Hey, by the end of the summer, you may be able to make your own basil pesto.
I just made some tonight, bitch.
Oh, nice.
And it was really good.
Very nice.
All right, so
Sorry.
Fresh. Let me backtrack a little bit and make sure I'm not leaving anybody out. Did I answer? You answered Noel's question about if the fish are edible or not.
Yeah.
Will the quality of produce? That's Oscar Kilo. Can you grow different plants in the same container? Oscar Kilo. Okay, so Oscar Delta Kilo asks, what about veggies that grow beneath the soil still grow in this setup? Yes, but usually your tubers and your root vegetables grow better in a soil that's semi-dry rather than being submerged in water. They tend to be kind of like rubbery, when they just, like carrots or potatoes, they tend to do better in soil. However, your little green onions that you chop for like chives on top of a soup or whatever, those grow fantastic.
Yes.
Those do really well, and they taste pretty damn good when they come out of here, and they just kind of migrate across the bed. Like they'll start growing in one corner and just spread out. So wild onion and chives, that grows pretty prevalently here on my property in the springtime. So I'll yank up a couple handfuls and just plant it in a corner. That way I have it throughout the year. Let's see.
What do you do?
I have had. Do what?
What do you do during the winter?
So during the winter, I switch over because we're here in Texas. So the things that do well here in spring don't, like your herbs and stuff will start to die off when we start getting, heavy frost and stuff like that. Normally, I will switch over to something like lettuce and cabbage, because it just does well in the cold season here.
Right.
I have planted tomatoes. My tomato plants, I planted heirloom tomatoes. I planted a pink, this really crazy like Japanese rising sun striped, it was just amazing looking, and a white tomato. They got 4 feet tall, tipped over on their side, grew down the 4 feet plus the height of the tank, hit the ground in my front yard, and started running across my front yard, rooting every 6 to 8 inches.
Very nice.
And the yield off that tomato plant was ridiculous. However, it consumed an entire bed. The root structure went from one side of the, 40 by 46 tank to the other side. So it outcompeted everything for nutrients. I like to keep my tomatoes out of it. I like to plant my tomatoes in dirt. So, all right, I see we got another question from Oscar Delta. Let's see, probably not with your setup, but could one grow fruit trees with aquaponics, or would the weight be too heavy? I guess you could.
Yeah, you can. I've seen it done.
Yeah. I would tend more to like a nutrient film technique, which is not a media based. It's just like an aqua based where they have tubes that they grow in and stuff like that. I've seen that strawberries do really well in that type of setup, but yes, you could do fruit trees in an aquaponics setup.
Yes, I've seen banana trees. I've seen.
Yep.
God, I can't think of the fucking fruit.
You have to think that with fruit trees, it's the weight of the tree isn't a big deal. Like if you go to the store and you buy a fruit tree, say it's like a 1 to 2 year old tree, it's about 4 to 5 feet tall.
Mango.
Okay, yeah, mango is. Oh, dude, I wish I could grow that. But the weight of a 1 to 2 year tree is that 5-gallon bucket of soil that it's sitting in.
Yep.
So on the whole, fruit trees, they're not that heavy. The challenge becomes supporting it in this type of environment because it doesn't have anything to root to hold itself up.
Right.
So yes, and I can tell you that from taking buckets of green fish water out of my tank and putting them on my I've got Southern Belle, or no, I've got Bella, Georgia peach trees. They love it.
Nice.
They love the water that comes out of the aquaponics system.
You're making me jealous, man. I've got a tote.
Dude, don't be jealous of me.
I've got a tote system over at my parents' house that's just sitting there not being. Man, that makes me want to put it up.
I want you to get it up, buddy.
Oh, that sounded good. I'll swing at that.
But no,
I was
and
drinking water.
for anybody listening, this isn't me like bragging and saying, "Oh yeah, look at all this shit that I'm doing." Man, I hope you guys find it inspiring. I hope y'all, like, just do something. Do anything.
Yeah, man.
Oh, Null checking in with a text space. Love it.
And if you're interested, we'd be happy to have a conversation offline if you jump onto our Discord channel. And the link should be in today's show notes at libertymastermindpodcast.com at the original article.
So, moving forward for me, because I've got such a high flow rate on my, and I oversize my water pumps, because I like the ability to have the extra head height.
Yep.
So head height is the height at which your pump is able to push water or lift water up. So I've got a 6 or 7 foot head height on my pumps. So what I can do is I can actually I can buy some either, like 3 or 4 inch pipe, or I can buy gutter system for, like on the roof of people's houses. And I can actually do like a growing tube. So every 6 or 8 inches or a foot, I can actually, put a plant, say like a strawberry plant or, a tomato plant or something like that. And I can actually start at the top, a couple feet above my grow beds, support this off of the grow bed, but have the water pump up to the top, have it spiral down through those tubes, feed the plants that are in those tubes, and then drain into my grow bed. The grow bed is obviously a flood and drain. So, just kind of maximizing the efficiency of my system, I can build a little more, usability in there without blocking light and, stuff like that.
Yep.
So, but I've done a little bit of research, and I haven't seen people actually trying to keep their water clear and then, siphoning off water, taking it to their non-aquaponics or aquaculture based systems, and just kind of using that as an extra, like a bonus output. So
yeah, that's handy.
The other thing,
wells though.
Yeah. And so that's one thing I did want to cover. So in the beginning, I said that I have well water. My well water is pH neutral. And so, I don't have to worry about, chlorine or fluoride or, any of that stuff being in the water and having to, let that stuff off gas, go neutral, and then start to, try and build an ammonia level. Hold on one second.
I'm just enjoying listening to you guys talk. This is not my field of expertise. Although the basil part had me interested.
All right, sorry, I have an update. We haven't seen our koi in a couple. 7-year-old just came in and said that he saw the koi.
Yeah, cool.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. You're right. 8 years old. Dude, your birthday was like 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, he told me. All right, so update. We still have koi. But no, with city water, you have to wait till that stuff off gases and, goes neutral before, you add your ammonia input. So it's going to take a little bit on city water and even some well water, guys. I'm not going to act like all well water is the same. Sometimes, and even with a bare tank that you just got, you cut, chop, wash it out, fill it with water, set your pump to cycling, throw a couple dead fish in there, treat it with, ammonia to kind of boost that process to get algae growing. It can take a month. It can take a month and a half.
Yep.
Before you start to get a fine, thin green coat on the inside of that tank.
And if you're going to be using city water, that it's good to have like at least a 55-gallon drum full of water ready to go that's off gassing already. So when you need to add water, it's there.
Yes. And the other thing is, it's scalable. You can be doing this in 5-gallon buckets.
Yeah,
You can
absolutely.
do it, and I've seen 5-gallon buckets. I've seen hefty or whatever brute trash cans.
Hmm.
I've seen all kinds of stuff. Cut in half 55-gallon drums with a little bit of pea gravel in the beds and stuff like that. There's no limit. We built one for friends that for the grow bed uses a Tupperware container, like a shallow, like a 6 or 8, like a 24 by 36, not even that, maybe like a 18 by 24, like a Rubbermaid tote, like you'd pack clothes in, or something like Christmas decorations or whatever.
And like a fish aquarium or something.
Right. So that's in the top, and then we built this nice like rustic wood frame to support everything, and then we just put a small little pump and a fish tank in the bottom. So it's actually sitting in their bedroom by their south facing window. So they need to get it going, get it cycling and stuff like that. But it's two things. They have a way to grow herbs because he cooks a lot. Like the husband cooks, and he's an amazing, like he could be a chef if he wanted to quit his full-time job. He's just that amazing of a cook. But so he'll have fresh, herbs as an input. And then, the sound of water. It's not like one of my massive tanks that will keep you up at night if it's in your bedroom. Like there's a little more suited to be indoors. So the challenge with that is when we were building it, we had to build it. They have a coon hound, or like a bloodhound.
Uh-huh.
We had to build it to where it was accessible and usable for the family, but the dog couldn't get into it.
Right.
So, but it was a pretty cool build. We did everything like real high lacquer, just bare wood, real high lacquer and stuff like that. So it's a cool rustic design.
See, Pat, you could do an aquaponic system for your basil, and you could throw some other herbs in there.
Yes.
Can I do it in a bucket?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Is it scalable?
Yeah, absolutely, it's scalable.
Now you're talking my language.
I was talking to you today. I was completely oblivious to the fact, but I can actually design these things from something that'll fit on a tabletop to something that'll fit inside of the area of a football field.
Yes,
so
you can.
I can design from, like I said, little tabletop systems to large commercial systems. And I guess in a parallel what I do. So I've got a lot of experience with it, and I can design some pretty damn complex systems, or some stuff that's just super straight up. And yes, it can be just about any herb you would like.
Texas Joe Aquaponics Consulting Systems Incorporated.
Yes. Aquaponic systems worldwide.
Wide.
Incorporated.
So, yeah, man. All right. So I got another question. Cool. Thank you, Noel. All right. So how does outside air temp affect the system? It works like a thermal battery. When you have, close to 1,000 gallons of water. Oh, okay. I get where the question's coming from now. Okay, so in Texas, the temperature does fluctuate. In the summertime, it obviously runs a little bit warmer, but not as warm as you would think. The water temperature usually doesn't get above, I guess, low 80s. The grow bed full of pea gravel does a lot to mitigate, the rising temperature, in the tank below. The constantly cycling water, or frequently cycling water, does a lot. Evaporation helps. In the winter time, when it starts to get, constantly, 30s and 40s and even lower than that, I have these tubular things. They're heating elements that I bought from the, pet store. I think one's good for like 100 to 150 gallons or something like that. So for my tanks, I have to run, one or two. But what I want to avoid with my tanks, and what I think everybody should try and avoid with their tanks, is like rapid, huge swings in temperature. That's what's going to do the most damage. That's what's going to kill your fish is, a 30 or 40 degree swing in temperature,
right?
In a couple of hours, which again, water acts like a thermal battery. And when you've got like a 36 by 36 or, like a 40 by 40 by 36 area, it's nothing but water. If we have a 40 degree swing in temperature, I've got steam coming off my tanks.
Right. Also, Noel, since you're asking about Arizona, shade cloth can help.
Yes.
A great deal. You really don't have to worry about winter all that much, but I would get some shade cloth just in case.
Yeah, and so what you can do with that, you can build a frame or build some way of supporting that shade cloth, building like a little greenhouse structure and then just stretching the shade cloth over it. For Arizona, I would go about the least I would go is like a 40% or a 35% shade cloth.
Yeah.
You're still going to get enough ambient light in there that your plants aren't going to starve and, start turning yellow and stuff like that. But that's going to, you're talking about a 20 degree difference easily, and being under that shade cloth as opposed to, being outside of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oscar Delta Kilo asked if we're concerned about plastics leaching into the water and thus up the.
Honestly, this is something that hasn't even come up as a blip on my radar. Unless I have fish dying. Do what?
It's food grade plastics and
correct.
It's pretty thick stuff. I wouldn't worry about it at all.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. And now it's a valid question. It really is. It's a valid question. But my tanks, I can't remember what my tanks had in them. I know I had a buddy that bought, I think 3 or 4, and he had bought his off of an alcohol distributor. And when he brought his tanks home, there was still some residual in there. He harvested almost 5 gallons of, tequila. He got almost 5 gallons of residual tequila out of his 4 or 5 tanks that he purchased. Yeah, because you can't always get everything out unless you cut the top off and flip it over.
Right.
But yeah, his residual was almost 5 gallons of tequila that he took out. So, I mean,
need to know where he gets his
and
from.
Dude, it's everything from ketchup to
orange
pickles,
juice, apple juice, pickles, glue.
Maple syrup.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff in this. So, it's
my totes had like Elmer's glue in them.
Yeah.
And I know that I've the tops off and scraped them out and washed them, and they're good to go.
Yeah. I know that I've had totes that were they used a component that was a constituent for drilling mud for oil field services or something like that. But when I looked up the MSDS, it was just like
one blue.
Like it was basically like liquid clay.
Yeah.
It was just it was inert. It had no toxicity whatsoever. And the only reason it would kill plants is because when it gets on, it's like if you were to like spray paint plants to where they can't, go through the process of photosynthesis, that's why they would die.
Right.
So it's, and I soaked it, I bleached it, I pressure washed it, let it dry, soaked it, bleached it, pressure washed it, let it dry, set it up, let it cycle, and I let it cycle with nothing in it but water until it started to grow algae. And when it started to grow algae, I bit the bullet. I went and got I went and got a handful of goldfish. And you can do this with minnows too. Minnows would actually be better because they're more sensitive. Throw the minnows in there. If they die, it's not ready yet.
Yeah.
It's just not ready. Now, you can do a lot in the way of testing with test strips and, like little testing kits and stuff like that. You can get all this stuff at, PetSmart. You can get it at Walmart. Hell, you can probably get it at Target, if they have a fish or plant section. Ooh. My wife has a picture of the project we completed for friends, but I have my ugly mug in the background. So I'm not going to give you all that.
Have you had any negative experiences with aquaponics?
No, honestly, I haven't.
Like something that almost made you want to quit? Oscar Delta Kilo wants to know.
Oh man, I just seen that.
I
Honestly, I haven't. I've had some fish die, but like I said, they weren't real. Send me that if you can. Sorry, guys, I've got my wife showing me pictures. No, I honestly I haven't. It's not one of those things. And now, don't get me wrong, it's something that you can get so involved in that, if you have a pump go out and you have fish die or something like that, that it can be, and I suspect that I'm going to get pretty attached to my koi, and I'm probably going to end up eating these words at some point. But I'm sure that, if you had, I guess if you had a flood and drain bed get clogged and it flooded and killed all your plants, like my wife's strawberry plants, I'm sure I'd be sleeping on the couch for a week and I'd regret that. But no, it's just, man, I don't know how to answer this question. I know what I have in my mind.
So, it basically comes down to really growing anything, raising anything. Like, there are going to be some negative experiences, but plants are going to die. Fish are going to die. Animals are going to die. It's part of the learning process. So, your plants die, your fish die, you figure out why, you start over again.
Ask me how I turned into a basil expert.
I have.
Right.
Actually, I take that back. I'm going to eat my words. And I'm going to eat my words. I'm going to be a big boy. Oscar Delta Kilo. I have had experiences that made me want to quit aquaponics.
Really?
And I'm going to be 100% honest. It was hand washing with a 5-gallon bucket and a water hose. 1,500 fucking pounds of pea gravel. That made me want to quit.
Yeah, I can see that.
That sucked. But once I got it up and going, I was totally happy with it. And the thing I want to interject here is when you're doing something that you love, like I have a job and a commute that I really don't care for. I do it because it pays really well. And I have a nice job. I like what I do. I just, I resent corporate culture and I resent driving 2 hours each way back and forth to work. So when I start dealing with my aquaponic systems, man, even if I have an entire tank of fish die, I would still take that over any good day at work.
Yep.
So, but guys, if you guys have questions, y'all want help with designing a system or something like that, hey, hit us up. Join us on our Discord channel. Shoot an email either to the UTAC or to the Liberty Mastermind email. Hey, man, I'm willing to help out wherever I can.
Yeah, me too. Join us on the Discord server, insert us in Knitting Circle, and we'll talk about it all day long.
So, guys, we've been answering listener questions. Do you guys have any questions? I'm hearing crickets.
I got no questions for you guys. I'm death by a fire hose here.
Right on. Well, you guys want to tie a bow on this one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool.
All right, you already gave out all the information where they can reach us. So
Discord and Liberty Mastermind Podcast.
Yep.
.com.
Yep. And thanks for listening, and come play with us over at the Discord server.
If you got any questions, comments, concerns, hit the contact form on lmp.com, or shoot us an email at libertymastermindpodcast@gmail.com. Or if you want to be a guest and you have some information you'd like to bring to the audience, please fill out a guest form. The link is on the homepage to libertymastermindpodcast.com.
Yep.
That's it.
Awesome.